Welcome everyone across the globe, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening in your time zone. I want to thank you for joining us today for this exciting banking webinar. I hope you are having a wonderful day till now. We are about to dive into a very interesting topic for today, banking in a digital world, innovations and strategies for success. Your presence adds great value to this session, and I'm thrilled to begin by introducing myself and AI CoreSpot as a company to you. My name is Nitin Naveen. I'm Vice President, Innovation and Strategy at AI CoreSpot. With nearly a couple of decades of expertise in different consulting firms focused on emerging technologies, I've had the privilege to collaborate with a lot of stakeholders, global leaders, gain insight from their innovative problem-solving approaches, and connecting with them on a higher level. Joining today are my couple of my colleagues. Arvind is there, which you all can see, and Naveen is there in the back end, whose dedication has been instrumental in shaping this event. So a round of applause for their efforts as we kick off this session. Let me take a moment to introduce our company, AI CoreSpot. We established more than 4 years ago now. AI CoreSpot serves as a hub of knowledge, specializing in different emerging technologies, which ranges from AI, Gen AI, machine learning, robotics, IoT, and much more. Our webinars aim to present the latest advancements in technology while exploring diverse industries and different themes every month. Together, we are steadily growing our reach. Our mission is to nurture a global AI-centric community where like-minded individuals can collaborate and share the knowledge. We organize webinars, hybrid events, backed up by all our incredible insights from industry experts, thought leaders, and all our amazing partners as well. Additionally, we create enriching digital content such as podcasts, videos, blogs, and monthly newsletters to keep you informed about the industry's rapid evolution. For today's webinar, we are tackling a fascinating topic, which is banking reimagined, strategies for a digital-first world. Our speakers for today will delve into some exciting aspects like challenges, role of AI, partnerships and collaboration, cybersecurity, what is the future outlook, and much more from the banking sector. The panel promises in-depth insights and engaging discussions that is never to be missed out. So before we dive deeper, let's highlight a few key points. Today's webinar wouldn't have been possible without our community partners, so special thanks to Nuvision Federal Credit Union, First Tech Federal Credit Union, and Infovision for their significant contributions in making this event successful. A heartfelt thanks goes out to all our attendees for taking the time to join us. Your participation is invaluable, and we hope you leave with actionable insights and meaningful conversations. At AI CoreSpot, our ultimate goal is to help you gain knowledge, build relationships, spark innovation. So if you walk away with some new ideas or lasting connections today, we'll consider this event a huge success. Now, let me introduce our esteemed speakers for today's sessions. Our first speaker is Jyoti Govindaraj. She is Senior Vice President, Information Technology at Nuvision Federal Credit Union. Our second speaker is Kalyan Rajamani, who is Chief Technology Officer at First Tech Federal Credit Union. Our third speaker and moderator for today's session is Neeraj Manaktala, who is Director, BFSI at Infovision. Please note, before we start today's session, the views expressed by all the speakers are their own, does not necessarily represent their respective organizations. And now I'll pass the message and the stage to Neeraj and kick off this engaging panel discussion. Over to you, Neeraj.
Awesome. Thank you, Nitin. Again, I want to welcome everyone who's attending today's webinar, wherever you are in the world. It's a pleasure to have you on. Again, my name is Neeraj. I partner with banks and financial service firms, helping them implement a digital-first transformation here at Infovision. Again, thank you to our panelists for joining us today as we walk through banking in a digital world, innovations and strategies for success. So I want to kick off by asking a couple questions to both Jyoti and Kalyan. So talking about some of the challenges that you've faced in a digital, as you're approaching a digital-first strategy, what are some of the biggest challenges that both of your credit unions have had as you've approached a digital-first? think, Kalyan, Jyoti, the question for both of you is just around some of the biggest challenges that your credit union has experienced as you're going through this digital first, in this new digital first world.
Let me start. Thank you for the opportunity. I think it's a pretty exciting topic. Before I talk about challenges, I think it's important to do a little bit of level setting. I think initially, as in his opening remark, Nitin mentioned that this is not just a technology move, this is more about digital reimagination. This is about an opportunity for us to literally reimagine the entire process. So the opportunities for simplification, how digital drives a level of simplification to the end users, to our members, is extremely important. That's how we think about it. When we talk about challenges in this context, the way we look at digital is, in fact, we look at our product is all about experience. Experience is our product. That's how we at first take a look at it. So it's not a deposit product, or clearly those are important, deposit product, lending products, mortgage, and all of that. But the overarching experience that we deliver to our members makes all the difference. And that too in a digital forum makes it a lot more different. So now, in terms of challenges, I think the biggest challenges is around the change management towards digital, because we used to operate like many members used to receive their services through a variety of different standard ways. And now when the things change, our ability to adapt changes is going to be a big deal. And what is in for the users in that change becomes a big question. So if you go back in history, and when you really look at the time when iPhone was introduced into the market, that was a major change to an extent that people are willing to pay more money for that. It was more expensive relative to the corresponding other products in the market at that point in time. They were able to do that because it was adding a compelling value proposition to the end users. So when we think about change, managing change, which is a hard problem to deal with, our ability to add a compelling value to the whole product is extremely important. What is the new experience that digital delivers? What is the kind of frictions that it actually reduces? Because there are studies that indicate that as soon as you reduce the friction along the way, the adoption increases. And this is not only for the member perspective, but also for the internal employees. How do we get adapted ourselves into way of digital thinking? How do we essentially connect the dots even when we are designing the financial products? We got to make sure that we take this whole end-to-end picture. And so there is a change for everyone, whether it's an employee of the credit union or the members of the credit union or any potential prospects of that. And change management, if we make it smooth, if you literally focus on the empathy for the end users, I think we will address a good portion of it. But it's a massive challenge.
No, that's a great answer. I appreciate that. How about in your case, Jyoti? If any challenges have come up as you go from kind of the older mindset of more manual towards more digital, how have you overcome some challenges at your credit union? Okay. I think, Jyoti, you're having a little delay in the audio. So as hopefully, Jyoti, we can get the audio figured out. But coming back to what you said, Kalyan, as you're making these huge investments into coming out with these new digital platforms, what are the as challenges come up, do you have any sort of internal best practices to address them, or is it kind of just having your team think on the fly to just fix any challenges that come up?
What we have done is our digital team has established what we call as digital principles, which is like 10 commandments for every employee and every employee, so that we start thinking digitally first. We start designing the process digitally so that we can actually deliver that level of value add to our members. That includes, for example, everything must be done in 3 clicks. In other words, no more than 3 clicks for everything. That is the big mantra for when we start designing our products. So we should be able to get to it pretty fast. It's a big. Likewise, we have built in so many principles, and start adopting some of the standardized experience parameters, and we have built some measures to start capturing all those things as well. For example, when we talk about the member journey, there are people essentially come to this financial institution for a variety of different reasons. It could be for disputing a transaction, or it could be potentially for a question on the transaction or about their payments, all of that, right? So in that context, what type of experience we provide, that we model every single member journey, and digitally how it gets enabled, how do we light up those journeys is very important. So starting from the design, we start implementing that thinking. In fact, First Take was one of the initial launchers of the digital online mobile banking itself in the credit union world. So we had a unique problem that when we started, the industry was not even mature at that point in time. Consequently, we will have to build a lot of things customized. So meaning our managed car wizard was entirely customized option. Consequently, now as the industry is now matured a lot more, the underlying products have matured a lot more, we have a unique challenge of migrating our custom stuff to the much more of an out-of-the-box capability, so that we can deliver all this value at pace, so that we can continue to deliver a lot more value along the way, because the expectations among the users, among the members, have dramatically shifted with the adoption of digital across the board, even outside. Today, we are living in a world of oversupply, where the choices are way more than what we can possibly consume. In that context, insights around demand, insights around the choices that people make, it is extremely important for us to understand and actually deliver to those things. Oftentimes, we always look for the unstated needs of the members and try to model it as a part of our experience.
I think that's a great response, and really appreciate the thought that went into it. I know when, at least in my case, when I talk to a lot of people in similar personas as yourself, a lot of questions come up around implementing automation and artificial intelligence within their bank. So, I just want to get, find out from you, Kalyan, where do you see the use of AI in the banking industry? Do you think it's just a trend that people are talking about, or do you think it's something that is here to stay and it just requires more knowledge and more maturity from the people in the technology departments in different banks?
That's a great question, Neeraj. I think we talk a lot. I mean, it's in the media, it's in the press about AI a lot these days. But the reality is that most financial institutions and bank started using many different forms of AI for a long time, specifically in the area of risk modeling, whether it's a credit risk modeling or a market risk analysis modeling, and CECL, and all of those areas have got rich models built, and they continue to get enhanced over a period of time. So the concept of AI in a variety of different forms has been in existence in banks. However, the latest things around are the developments specifically in the context of language models is a net new adoption to the entire world. And as you can see, that most people, even common man, everyone is adopting, using in some form or the other, or some form of a packaged application that we use that contains all these things. So the expectation has dramatically increased. So for us, it's not only in the context of automation, but also, I'll talk about a couple of things. Clearly, there is a value in automation. For example, if I'm a contact center representative and you are reaching into us, you could reach into us for a variety of different reasons. So then it could be because of a potential, question around a card transaction, or it could be potentially about a payment. It could be anything, or it could be about an insurance or a mortgage payment and all of that, or a partial payment. So in all these cases, how do we enable the frontline staff to be able to not only respond adequately, completely, and at pace, but also be able to understand your context and be able to, potentially recommend few things for you? Because the way we look at every front-end staff is our brand ambassadors. And clearly that's an opportunity to be able to do, provide the recommendations to our esteemed members, wherein the underlying infrastructure required for that is going to be largely analytics at the point of activation. So which means the underlying data infrastructure required, the underlying plumbing that is needed in order to deliver these insights at that point in time, specific to your context, is going to be a lot more important. And therefore, the whole idea of, dramatically improving the efficiency of the front line is one. You can call it automation, you can call it pace of play, and all of that. Outside of that, I think the biggest benefit, in terms of the member benefits, is digitally we are able to recommend what could be the next best course of action for you, because people now started looking not just the banking, but the total financial pictures around this. How do I spend money? There are people who even look at their own transactions and look at how sustainable those are, and they want to get a score around that. So depending on the user persona, it varies. And the ability to provide this level of diverse user personas to a single platform is a huge value add. And I'm not suggesting by any means that we are done or we are at a stage where we have entitlement. We are in that journey, and this is going to be a journey for a while. I think we are making progress. We are scoring what I would call as singles and twos every day.
That I appreciate that answer. I really appreciate the high level of thought in each answer, and I think it's giving a lot of our attendees a very, very great picture in some of the methodologies that you're using at First Tech. And Jyoti, I hope we've figured out the technology issues. It always happens on a Monday morning, so I've been there. And kind of the same question for you. Where do you see AI fitting in the banking industry? I mean, is it something that you think is here to stay, or do you think it's just kind of a new trend that maybe has merit, but it could be just one of those things? It's a trend, but we're unsure where it's going to fit in the future.
I honestly think AI is here to stay. I think we are going through the completion of hype cycle and a normalization. I believe as a banking industry, we are at a point where we understand how AI solutions can not only help our members, like we just heard, it could also help our back office and even the technology department. For instance, we use AI for fraud detection, network security, and also for voice concierge when our members call in. So when you think about the network security, the way these AI solutions work is they understand the normal network traffic that they would see in our enterprise, and they identify anything that does not fit the pattern and isolate it. And this is something that we have found very, very helpful in the ever-changing cybersecurity situation we are in. And when it comes to voice concierge, our members are able to get responses to the questions quicker than when they call the call center. So I truly believe AI is here to stay. It would evolve. It definitely will evolve as we understand our members' adoption, and as we understand the possibilities with it. There would be an evolution of it. As long as we are understanding our member needs, keeping security in the forefront, I think AI is a great solution that's going to help us deliver better services to our members.
That's again, appreciate the answer, and I'm glad that we're able to to get you back. And this is a question that I get quite a bit as I talk to a lot of credit unions and more regional banks, and it's around stakeholder buy-in. A lot of times, as we're talking with technology leaders like yourself, the big question comes up: how do you find when you approach your stakeholders about implementing a lot of these new technologies, these new emerging technologies? Do you find that they're receptive to implementing new things, or do you get a lot of pushback? And I think we can start with you, Jyoti.
I would say that we absolutely have stakeholder buy-in. The technology trends, it's not only impacting banking industry, it is also impacting other industries. So there is certain level of expectation from consumers, including credit unions, to have these conveniences that come with newer technologies and emerging technologies. So I would say the stakeholders are right there in providing those conveniences to our members. One of the ways we try to mitigate any concerns is we try and do a proof of concept. We make sure that the expected business outcomes and ROI is there before we do a full rollout. We also take the approach of staggered rollout, where we deploy solutions, probably not to all the branches, maybe few branches at a time, or maybe to a certain market, until we know the risk controls are in place, the compliance controls are in place, and being transparent about those outcomes with our stakeholders has gone a long way in getting their support and confidence in these solutions.
No, that's great, and I'm glad that you have that support. And how about in your experience, Kalyan, do you find that there's a lot of stakeholder buy-in and interest when a lot of these emerging technologies come up, or do you find that you're getting a lot of pushback when you bring those to the table?
I must acknowledge that I'm truly blessed to have such a stakeholder community who not only understands the need and importance of this, but also pushes the envelope beyond what I could even work towards. So it's pretty challenging environment from that perspective. For example, our chief experience officer literally wanted to have AI deployed to support our frontline staff. And the way we started doing that effort is really, as I mentioned before, the type of questions that they may get from the members could be any different area. Consequently, we have today we're deploying the ability to do a voice encoding, a voice translation of the member calls. And literally it goes back as tokens to our systems and fetches all the relevant information and applies the language model to be able to come up with a precise answer in support for our frontline staff. So which dramatically is improved productivity using our knowledge buddy. And we internally codenamed it as Daisy. So point is that it's AI enabled as driven by the business. Likewise, our marketing and analytic function literally look for, how do I send a personalized content in our campaigns? So there is a whole heap of expectations, and largely coming from the stakeholders. Additionally, we do quite a bit of that in terms of, how do I improve the developer productivity in terms of leveraging AI? So we are attempting to use, whether it is Cursor IDE or whether it is GitHub for Copilot. All of that, we are demonstrating internally to our stakeholders that there is going to be a clear productivity advantage. Not only productivity, but also it helps us to validate the quality of the code and also provides, extracts in a level of documentation. So there's a whole heap of usage around that. And that's what we are trying to incorporate. Even most employees, we are in the process of deploying the Office 365 AI Copilot. And that helps us to do it on a day-to-day basis on every single.
Looks like Kalyan, you've frozen, but I think I was starting to get the gist of
the members.
Your answer.
And of course, I totally agree with Jyoti's point on, in addition to all of these things, there is a huge angle towards security into that space as well.
No, I'm glad the audio came back. And again, thank you for that answer. And I think the final question around automation and AI that, again, something that I tend to get a lot is, do you believe AI will replace a lot of the in-branch transactions that both your credit union customers are engaging with, or do you think there's still going to be a place for a lot of the manual work versus where automation fits in? And I think Jyoti, we can go with you. I think it looks like Kalyan might be frozen.
That's okay. We are taking turns.
Yeah.
Well, I think AI will complement branch services. I don't believe it's going to replace it. The services will shift, right? At the branches, the services will shift from being transactional to probably consultative, where the human interactions will carry a lot of value. There will be more meaningful conversations that our frontline team members can have with our members, providing them that financial advice and coaching, be their partner in their financial journey. I think people would still like to talk to humans when they go into the branches. So branches are here to stay, but the function is going to be morphing quite a bit.
And when you are dealing with a diverse customer base, ranging from younger, more tech-savvy customers, all the way up to people that are a little bit older, do you find that do you give any sort of disclaimer that when they have an engagement with the bank, it's automated versus it's you're talking to a person?
Yes, we do tend to disclose when it is a voice concierge automated by an AI solution. We do tend to disclose it, and we have seen that members prefer that. Members prefer knowing who they are talking to. And when it comes to the generational gap that you just referred to, we have found it's not only the generational gap, but also the demographics that matter when it comes to adopting digital solutions. And I would think that's a continuous evolution, right? Because when you think about the newer generation, they know banking on digital channel first, and they go into the branches only when they need to. As opposed to my generation, we knew banking at the branches first, and digital is an adoption for us. So given all of those reasons, I believe even though there is that generational gap, demographic gap today when it comes to digital adoption, I think that gap is closing very quickly.
No, that's great. And I think from here, the next area where I'd like to talk about is just some of the overall advantages of a digital first strategy. So, Kalyan, hopefully, you've been able to dial back in. Looks like I can see you. So, as you're looking at going towards a digital first environment, what are some of the biggest advantages that you've seen in your credit union of having that digital first strategy, digital first mindset?
I think there are quite a lot of areas where we do see benefits. The first and foremost one I wanted to call out is the fact that we are largely in the marketing. Let's start with the marketing area. Our ability to deliver a personalized content, personalized offer, personalized messaging to someone who potentially could be a prospect or an existing member. In that area, our ability to track everything based on the telemetry and the instrumentation, our ability to understand the latency at any point in time for the user who is using it based on their sessions. So it gives us a lot more depth in terms of how the experience has been. And we also do quite a lot of tracking in terms of figuring out what is the primary driver for someone who have been using a digital experience and shifting back to the traditional experience. So we measure that pretty much. Consequently, it helps us to literally understand the experience element, but also understand connecting the dots. For example, Neeraj is a member at First Take. Then we have what we call as a member 360, totally understand what are the things that you are subscribing to internally and be able to identify you at the point of, or I would say the first touch point. That is our goal, so that we can truly understand your total spectrum, the total options that you are, in terms of your engagement with us, and potentially using quite a lot of interesting campaigns. We could also try to understand how your overall financial picture, even the spend outside of our system, exists. So in a method to really personalize offers to you, which are specific and meaningful to you in that context. So that's where quite a lot of AI is used. But here, the most important thing before we deploy that type of level of AI is the level of effort involved in doing the underlying infrastructure work. Our ability to identify the IDs or resolve the IDs at the first touch point in itself is a challenge. And oftentimes these products that we offer to our members have evolved over a period of time, have started at different points in time. So our ability to establish the cross connectivity at an identity level plays an important role. So there is a lot of infrastructure work at the back end leading up to this AI delivering value and digital delivering value. That infrastructure backbone is what we call as digital. And the value is already delivered through the AI at the top of that.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. It's a great response. Appreciate how you're quantifying some of the advantages that your credit union is noticing. Jyoti, when Jyoti, your credit union is looking at moving towards this new digital first environment, what are some of the metrics that you track internally to ensure that if there is a campaign or a strategy that you're implementing, it's ultimately going to be successful?
Yeah, in addition to what Kalyan just shared, one of the major advantages we are seeing with digital banking is the self-servicing. Providing those products and services to our members at their convenient time, wherever they are, has been a huge lift with digital banking, digital channel, right? I'm a mom of 2 kids. Trust me, I don't have the time to do my banking between 9 to 6. And I'm sure there are many, many individuals in the same situation. And we are seeing the digital banking improve our growth and our member experience, overall member experience, not just on digital banking, right? And we are also seeing the back office efficiency through these unassisted services. As we have digital providing those unassisted services to our members, back office is able to focus on newer products, innovating newer products, newer services for our members. And the data we capture, just like what Kalyan mentioned, helps with quite a bit of personalized experience for our members. As such, when we look at our metrics, some of them that we are looking at is the adoption rate, how quickly our members are adopting to the digital way of doing banking with us, the member experience score through various surveys, the app usage. We also monitor how our app is being used by our members and the active users on both on our app as well as the digital platform. All of these have been great indicators to understand how our members are leveraging the digital channel.
I appreciate that. That's a great response. So going back to again, some of the advantages, I know from the credit union and bank's perspective, the digital experience, a digital first strategy definitely has a lot of advantages, whether you're looking at back office, whether you're looking at just process improvement. But as far as looking at the consumer, do you think there'll ever be a time where there'll be zero branch interaction, that everything is 100% digital and you can go from having a branch presence to just everything on your mobile phone or a computer?
I'm hesitant to say it's going to be 100%, honestly, because as humans, we like talking to people. So I don't I don't believe it will be 100% completely digital. Like I mentioned earlier, there will definitely be changes in the kind of services we offer in the branches. And also, digital banking is going to become a norm. However, there will continue to be needs for individuals to go into the branches to seek maybe some advice on how they can leverage the equity on their home for other investments. When it comes to large transactions and financial coaching, we have seen many surveys, like from Gartner, Cornerstones, all of them indicate that it's not going to be a digital only world. It is definitely going to be digital with human in the loop.
And how about in your perspective on that, Kalyan?
I think Jyoti is spot on that. I have a very similar, opinion on that topic. It's going to be largely, digital first and not digital only. That's because rightly mentioned that there is a human touch involved in it, which at the moment at least cannot be translated. Of course, it can be a huge enabler, 100%. So the things like to going back to the metrics conversation. So we consider either if somebody is using digital, somebody is an active digital user, and if they end up calling our contact center or reaching out to the branch for a transaction purpose, then we identify that as a defect to the digital and we track that. So now if we're looking at our tracking, there has been a declining trend on that space for members engaging on a transaction. However, it is very important to note that the lasting relationships that our frontline have built with our members is phenomenal. And the trust that they have developed, because one of the big reasons for banking with somebody is largely around the trust and the safety and trust that they would do the right thing for us. And I think it has built into more of a relationship. And more importantly, some of the advisory services, which are contextual based on your own personal context, and that relationship makes a huge difference, in my opinion. While all these models can inform the front line, and definitely there's going to be a lot more reduction in the transactional needs of reaching out to the branches. It's going to be largely advisory in nature. It's largely going to be how do I give you the full picture, and how do I be your reflection? How do I be your retrospective and all of that?
No, again, thank you for the answer. I appreciate the response. And just for the audience out there, if you have any questions, just chat them in as they come up. We'll give them to the two panelists to see if they're able to answer. But talking about accelerating this digital first transformation. So Kalyan, as you're really continuing this movement towards digital first, where do you see the biggest opportunities for partnerships over the next phase of your digital journey?
I think banking, by definition, requires, in fact, financial management requires a lot of partnership. There are two types of partnerships we are talking about. One is when it comes to money movement and things like that, or cards management, things like that. We partner because we want to be able to provide quite a lot of options for our members to choose from. So consequently, not everything is invented in one place. So this connected experience plays a lot of important role, so that you can have the today people are talking about super apps, which is a connected ecosystem of apps that are relevant to my context, and exactly the way that we are thinking about that as well. So there is an importance from a partnership standpoint. That said, that is one type of partnership. The other type of partnership from a technology perspective is that I think there's going to be a lot more need for systems integrators, because ultimately all of these systems have to talk to each other. And today there are quite a lot of frameworks being developed in that front. And I think that's where the world would move towards much more of a seamless operation, even globally. It's just going to be a partner ecosystem. So we don't call every app as an app. Yes, there is an app aspect of it, but it sits in an ecosystem. So we look at it on an ecosystem basis.
No, that's great to hear. And in your perspective, Jyoti, what are some key areas where you see benefits of collaborating with different partnerships?
Like when I think about the partnerships that I would look to moving forward is probably payment as a service. Cybersecurity vendors, managing security service providers, managed services for security services. I think staying with the managed security service providers, right? They bring an advanced intelligence when it comes through threat detections and 24/7 monitoring. They bring the expertise that I don't have to always build in-house. And also these partners, for example, payment as a service, right? That would help modernize the payment stack and provide faster, secure, and flexible payment rails for our members. It allows financial institutions like us. I mean, I'm just broadening it, not just for credit union, but financial institutions to stay competitive. Because we are not building these services ground up, but we have a provider who's done this before, experimented on it, built it, and has made it available to the industry. And we are gaining that knowledge and services collectively in the industry. So those are some of the focus would be, not to forget about how these solutions bring compliance-ready fraud detection layers. And most of these solutions are also built with APIs for fast deployment. So when you look at a regulated industry like financial industry, I think having these partners provide the scalable services faster goes a long way.
No, I tend to agree with you on that. There's definitely a huge merit in choosing the right partners around what they can offer and what they can help with the acceleration of certain types of platforms. When you are evaluating a partner, do you evaluate them more on the scope of work that they've done, or do you put a higher weight on the type of work they've done in financial services? And I think, Jyoti, we can start with you.
It's critical that they've done not only in financial services, but credit union industry, right? Here is the reason for it. When you look at the nuances of the banking, there is quite a bit of overlap, no matter which financial industry you are in, financial institutions you're in, what type of financial institution you are. However, when it comes to credit union industry, there is a certain philosophy of putting members first. That's been the DNA of credit union for a very long time, right? So we look for partners who have worked in that environment, who understand our expectations, who come in with that kind of experience that will expedite solutions. And the next priority, I would say, is how quickly they can integrate. Integration agility would be a key in selecting the partners. Many of the core banking platforms that are out there weren't designed to keep pace with the member expectations in the digital world today. So having that integration capability to work with the core banking platforms that we have will go a long way in selecting the partners. We look for understanding of credit union workflows, minimal disruption, plug-in with minimal disruption. One other factor which is personally very important to me is day two support, right? Not only during implementation, not only during hypercare, that kind of diligence I would like to see in my partners on day two, day three as we go along in the partnership.
I think I agree that there is some nuances between some of the banks versus credit unions. So I completely agree with you that working with the credit unions will give more of that more of the guidance and support that you need, Jyoti, versus finding more of an agnostic banking partner. And how about you, Kalyan? Do do you evaluate a partner based on work that they've done specifically to credit unions, or is financial service experience equally important to you?
I completely agree with what Jyoti earlier said. I think it's the balance is important, particularly experience in financial services. Let me add a little bit of color to that. See, we want our partners to really challenge us from strategy to execution, challenges on our way we are thinking about it. So that is possible even only if they have some experience, some pre-thinking in that space, whether it is around fraud operations or whether it is around the card industry. So there is a whole heap of the knowledge and about the domain knowledge that is needed to be able to play that role. Secondly, it's necessary but not sufficient just to have the strategy alone by in itself is not going to deliver value. So they have to play that end-to-end. So I think if someone can play the end-to-end role, starting from strategy all the way, essentially influencing the strategy, challenging the strategy that we may have, all the way to its deployment, with an ultimate goal of, as Jyoti mentioned, delight the members. How do we do that? It's not about I hire someone specifically to do the banking only, but whatever is the total offering that we have and potential interconnectivity that exists, whatever standards that we will have to apply. For example, today a BN framework is getting a lot of traction, at least in the European markets. I think how should we think about it when it comes to exchange between two? How do we think about the identity verification, which is a pretty important deal, especially in the context where there's quite a lot of fraud things that are happening. So there is certain level of uniqueness to this, and there is certain level of externalism. But we don't want simply people who say, yes, we will implement it. Second, we also want to have people with some level of external expertise, because a lot of great things that happen outside of financial services industry could be mapped into what we do. So there are some similarities. So I think it needs to have a spectrum, but more focused on this.
Okay. No, again, that's I think both what you and Jyoti said, I tend to agree with. And this is a question that's come directly from one of our attendees, and I think, Jyoti, I'll throw this one out to you. Can you share insights into the use of APIs and open banking platforms for driving innovation and collaboration?
Yes. We are slowly, progressively shifting to API first when it comes to integrations, right? The industry has shifted, I would say. I think as you see the newer solutions, newer players in the tech space for banking services, you see them be more open to API integrations, not only with the legacy platforms, with their own peers. Like we are working with one particular vendor right now who is absolutely flexible and open to working with even a competitive service, right? Because to them, having that collaboration in the marketplace, and to us too, honestly, want to be held in a situation where we are not able to improve our tech stack because we have a partner who is not open to that kind of API integration. So we have partners who have been very, very flexible and open to the idea of integrating not only with legacy solutions, but also with their own peers and other service providers that complement the primary workflow that they are solving for us. So that has been key for us. And when it comes to open banking, it is going to change. It is going to change the way we all look at banking services, right? It's going to empower our customers. It's going to empower our members, consumers. And we are researching it. We are monitoring it. I think I should say we are monitoring open banking and keeping it in our radar to make sure we are prepared for it. And when you also think about open banking, I think we all need to be aware and ready for a payment platform that is tokenized, so that when the time comes to the open banking, we are a little bit more prepared for adopting and moving the trend to possibly the way of doing business.
No, I appreciate that answer. And I think think from here, this is a good segue to talk about one of the biggest buzzwords that we hear from technology leaders in both banks and credit unions, and that's cybersecurity. So another question that's come from our attendees, and I think, Kalyan, I'll throw this one out to you. What are some of the top security protocols that First Tech is adopting to safeguard against the rising cyber threats?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty important area. And as I mentioned before, safety is extremely important for us, and that essentially builds trust to our members. So when it comes to any design elements, we essentially do it along with the cybersecurity aspects in mind. So protection is our primary goal. So we adopted what we call as a shift left philosophy, wherein cybersecurity concepts are embedded at the design itself. So we are now in the process of moving towards a SASE-based model. So it's going to be, it is still in a work in progress, but I think we made quite a lot of improvements in terms of securing, whether it is through our transaction that goes across the wire, both basic encryptions across the board, both addressed and then, and in transit. So quite a lot of investments are going on. Ultimately, we want to move towards a tokenization type of a model. So it is just an evolution, but we continue to, invest a lot of effort, time in that space.
No, again, it's a very thoughtful response, and I appreciate the great answer. And I think as we're approaching time, I want to be respectful, both you, Kalyan, and Jyoti, of your time today that you've given us. And again, I'm very appreciative that both of you were able to join. So as we close the webinar, I just wanted to get both of your ideas on where you see what you see as some of the next future trends in this digital banking space. I think, Kalyan, we can start with you.
Yeah, I think the key word that I wanted to use is around empathy. Empathy for the ultimate users. When I say empathy, it is also not just what they think they need, but also our ability to find what they would need and where they would probably go in and where they should. So leading them with the unstated needs is going to be extremely important. So the people who have the ability to identify those, people can come up with the unique member journeys, predictions on that, and be able to build the trust that whatever that we come up with actually is relevant and reasonable to the members is going to be extremely important. That is where building the trust and the brand is important. So today, I'll give you one example on the trust factors. Today, when people look at Google search or anything, if that doesn't show up, they don't, they think, they won't think that Google is down. They think that their internet is down. So that is the trust that they have built. So I think we got to be able to build that level of trust among every parties that comes with a lot of this.
Sure. And how about your perspective on that, Jyoti?
Well, I love the way Kalyan put it, right? Google is not down, internet is down. So hyper-personalization, right? Members' expectation is changing heaps and bounds. There is an expectation to have Amazon-like experiences, Netflix-like experiences, the experiences that are tailored to their behavior, where they are in their life and what their goals are, and all of it in real time, right? Real-time payments, real-time credit decisions, real-time customer support. I think we're at a point where some of these are table stakes, not differentiators anymore. The another trend I would think is the digital currency. It's still evolving, especially when we think about credit union space. It's evolving, and all of us are researching and monitoring. And it would foundationally change the way we store the value, we exchange value, and how it's regulated. I think those are all some of the trends that are going to change the way we look at banking services.
I appreciate again both of your thoughtful answers on where you see some future trends. And before I pass it back to Nitin to wrap things up, Jyoti, I just wanted to throw out another question that we got from one of the attendees, and that is, what are some strategic priorities as you look at your digital transformation roadmap for the next year, year and a half, 2 years?
Member personalization is definitely out there with cleansed data, right? The key to having this personalized experiences, the AI solutions, is having clean, single source of truth when it comes to our member data. And we are quite focused on building that out, making sure we have good data governance in place. We have good data owners for various data elements. That is one of the focuses. And we are also very, I think I should say we are not losing our focus on innovation either. We have taken a two-pronged approach when it comes to AI solutions. We have everyday AI solutions like Microsoft Copilot that we have deployed to quite a few team members across the organization to make their jobs easier. That is, we are continuing to evolve on that. We are looking at Copilot agents. We are also looking at agentic process automation. That's about making things easier for our team members, right? And another focus when it comes to AI solution is what Gartner calls as game-changing AI. So we are looking at AI solutions that will make these services and products better for our members in terms of fraud and new products and so forth. Those are all some of the key elements that we have in our forefront in our roadmap moving forward.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. And again, before I pass it back to you, Nitin, again, wanted to thank Jyoti, both you, Jyoti, and Kalyan for your time and providing some great insights into banking in a digital world. And with that, Nitin, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Neeraj, for moderating this session beautifully from beginning. I'd like to thank eminent speakers as well, Kalyan, Jyoti, and all the community partners. Kalyan, Jyoti, especially both of you, delivered exceptional session, and we are grateful for your eagerness to collaborate and impart your knowledge on this digital banking front. For everyone's information, I would like to add that today's event, the recording will be accessible on our company's YouTube channel. So, there are a lot of things in scope for upcoming months. We will be delving into a lot of amazing topics for this year. Our future events will cover a lot of industries. It includes banking, insurance, and financial, for which you all have come here for. It includes the other industries as well, like manufacturing, supply chain, healthcare, media, consumer goods, retail, telecom, and there are many more others. Geographies also will keep in adding in our list. So keep in touch for ongoing education opportunities. Stay updated on tech news by visiting our website and follow us on our social media channel. There you will find a lot of comprehensive information, all our notifications for forthcoming events, guidance on how to sign up in each of the webinars. Your support is key as an audience, so please engage with us and spread our content online. We extend our sincere appreciation to Infovision as well, who is a knowledge and innovation partner for today's event. Visit their website, which is infovision.com, to explore more about tech innovations which they are going into. It was a pleasure to present this session, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We look forward for more engaging sessions in the near future. Take care. Here's to a great day, week ahead, and year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.